The final countdown is here. Seth is not here yet. Steve is busy. Seth is coming in hot like a fajita. He'll be here momentarily. So we'll start things off with Billy. Billy, one of the things I wanted to get into in the 9 o'clock hour that I didn't get to, let's kind of go through some of these positions. Another thing that you had talked about was how good Javon Thomas has looked. And I know you weren't predicting him starting per se, but he's a guy that we're going to see a lot of potentially this weekend.
Yeah, and I could see him starting at some point this season. It could be, sooner than later if he I think there's an audition going on opposite Tyreek Chappelle for this week. I don't want to say it like this. They have to go out and win the game at Miami, but this week, next week, ULM, like leading into conference play. Now, they got to be good enough at that spot to go in, down to South Beach and go beat Miami. And I say South Beach, I say Coral Gables. I don't even know where the damn stadium is at this point. The Hard Rock.
It's almost Fort Lauderdale.
Go to the Hard Rock and beat Miami. They've got to have good cornerback play. So it might, but I'm saying it might be by committee. You'd love for whoever starts to go out there and play really well, but I think they're still figuring that, maybe more so than any position.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of figuring that one out. That's opposite Chappelle's spot, and also the depth at corner. And Javon Thomas is right there in the mix. So there's a great opportunity, for a true freshman that, but you got some real experience in Grimes and DeBerry. Real experience. I mean, actually, I don't know how many times each of them have played against Miami, but there's several games there between the two of them against the Miami Hurricanes. So there's some experience there that, a true freshman would have to really perform well to overcome. But he's made it a possibility with the way he's throughout the offseason. There were high expectations going into camp, and that's exactly what he did.
Let's talk a little bit more about offensive line, some of the different parts that we could see this weekend as well.
Jimbo mentioned Basantis probably at right tackle. He said it pretty definitively.
Yeah.
I don't know if things during the week can change. I don't believe they have. But my question would be, is Fathery playing and getting back into it, or are we waiting another week? Because he's been practicing.
Right.
He's been practicing, and so he's right there. And I just don't know if maybe he hasn't had enough practice yet, or if it's probably not that. It's probably just it's New Mexico. What are we doing here if we could hold you out another week? And I think worst case scenario, and I haven't heard anyone say this, but if he couldn't go in time for Miami, you could almost go another 2 weeks and even 3, get his feet wet against ULM, and then he's ready to go full speed for the entire conference season. This is just me talking out loud. I think we'll see him next week, if not Saturday. But I don't think you'll see him. Why put him out there on Saturday against the Lobos? I don't understand. If he's not going to start, then why would he play? He could shake off the rust in practice, So that part I'll be interested to see. Other scenarios, I wonder if Adazio does that thing where, look, if you're starting 5 is Foster, Dewberry, Zune, Layden, and Basantis. I wonder if Adazio does that thing where you look up on drive number 3 or 4 and it's Naboo at left guard, and then you look up another drive and it's Crownover in there at tackle. Like, in other words, getting these guys that might not be starting reps with the ones in a game like that. That's something I'll be interested to just kind of watch and follow.
Let's talk running back. A lot of names that we could see on Saturday, and it's more than 3.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it the other day. I think you'll see Amari Daniels get to go to start it out, and then Le'Veon Moss, and I think we'll see plenty of Reuben Owens, and then David Bailey. I'm interested in see how does he run. I watched him in that open practice. Then I heard about him in the scrimmage. An interesting change-up guy for this offense if you want to bring a little physicality to the running game. And not to say that any of those 3 guys can't run through a tackle, particularly Daniels and especially Moss. But Bailey's a different body style guy. And so I wouldn't mind seeing him get a couple of carries in there and just kind of hammer his way, through traffic and just kind of send a message. Hey, if we got to get 2-3 yards here, we got to wear on you in the second half of games a little bit. And we've also got another option to do that.
Can you address something that I've read and heard and been asked about? Torian York, the way Jimbo praised him. You talked about it, leading up to that press conference. Some people are reading that as, what does that mean about the guys who have been here? Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a slap at the guys that have been here. It's more of a prop up of how Torian has looked, if you can add a little bit to that.
I don't think it's a slap regardless, but I think it's both. It's not a slap, but it is a testament to what they don't have, that a true freshman can come in and start game one, but it's also a testament to how good Torian York's been. And by the way, great move by him to come in and be an early enrollee. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about a kid that's just believed in himself from day one. And to come in here, play, make the flip from Baylor late, come in here, impress in the spring, really impress in the summertime. And it's just like his stock just kept going up. And then once they put the pads on, his stock kept going up further. So it's the bigger thing is that the whole program, players and coaches alike, are raving about Torian York, the player, the mind defensively. And Jimbo was talking about how he can get guys lined up and he's making the calls as a true freshman. Seth could probably dig into that a little bit. But also, it does speak to, look, if A&M had 2 established, proven starters at those linebacker spots, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and we'd be talking about, hey, has Torian York shot up to be the primary backup? Right. I'm not even talking about like all SEC first team linebackers. If they had a Taro Alaka and Tyrell Dodson, then all of a sudden you go, hey, because that's what Alaka had to do. That's what Dodson had to do. Or Torian York could end up being the next incarnation of Dat Win for all we know. So you don't really know what that means, but I think it means a little of both. Look, we knew they didn't have a ton of depth at linebacker. Chris Russell, he kind of is like a big play, and then maybe, some wrong fits, and you give up some big plays in the running game. Martrell Harris, I heard his name a little bit in camp, but it wasn't like he was this rocket ship shooting star that you maybe hoped we'd hear throughout the offseason. So when you start saying all those things, because Damian Sanford's moving up the depth chart too, and Jimbo mentioned him as someone that would probably play on Saturday. So I think it's both, but I'm really excited about York, and I think he's, the early, him and Basantis are the 2 early storylines of this camp. We're going to see a lot of Hicks and Owens from this class, but those 2 from the class are the 2 that are probably going to start game one as true freshmen. And then the other guys that could move into that, you think of Reuben Owens, you think of DJ Hicks. Hicks, I don't think it matters starting or not, because just like with so many of those D linemen, they're just going to play. Right. And as guys start practicing and playing better, they're moving on up, and other guys that aren't are going to kind of see them. It's going to be like this all year. But Javon Thomas, he'd probably be your next one that I think is closest to, he and Owens closest to starting.
Hello, Seth.
Hello. I didn't hear the question, but I have thoughts on the
freshman linebacker. Yeah, let's hear them.
No, I mean,
and welcome back.
I know, it's good to be back, man. It's freaking game time.
You're in uniform.
So let's do it. I'm in uniform. I'm ready to go, man. It's exciting. Anytime you get I don't care who you're playing, man. It could be Miami first game, New Mexico first game. It's always fun to start the season.
What would you rather have as a player? Do you like the 1 tune-up, then the big game? Because you've opened with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I've done both. I mean, it gives you a little bit more like, man, we better get this right, because you're starting out with a great team, no matter who it was. We did Florida State one year. We did Notre Dame one year.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, like, I can remember the whole summer, breaking it down on beating FSU or whatever. That was your thought. Of course, you want to win. We ended up winning the Big 12, but no one was talking about winning those.
I'm like, I knew you beat the brakes off Notre Dame, but that wasn't an opener, right?
Yeah, I don't think that was. That was 2001.
That was when y'all Was that when we struggled against McNeese, and then maybe the next
right,
week went out and beat Notre Dame handily?
Yes, because I almost died that game against McNeese, but that's another story. Speaking of which, I saw those top 10 hottest games, and I was involved with 2 of them. I can say without a doubt that 98 Southern Miss game at Southern Miss was absolutely outrageous and ridiculous.
I remember that one.
Just steam bath.
That was the Dante Hall game. Was that where he had a couple nice
I can't
touchdowns?
remember. I was probably
because that was a dog
sweating
fight.
out of my mind just trying to survive.
What are we talking about? 105?
No, it was the
Humid.
fact that it rained and then sun and then just steam bath.
Then you're in southern Mississippi.
Right.
Right.
By the way.
I'm going to get back to York eventually.
Okay, let's go back to York eventually. But now you're talking about Southern Miss in the late 90s. They were really good. I don't know if you remember that.
They were.
You were very young, David.
Same age.
Same age. So you were in college. Southern Miss used to play the wildest of wild gimmick defenses, right?
Yes.
They'd have I remember dudes like standing up at the line of scrimmage. It was crazy.
So I'll tell you how we practiced against Southern Miss is that I can remember Coach Grimes, we just get out there, line up, and he would literally have guys just walk around. Like you would not know who was going to end up being in front of you. Like they'd get up there, they'd walk around, and at the snap of the ball, they'd come.
So what was y'all's job as blockers?
You just zone. You stay in your zone. You get the guy that latches onto you. If he passes you, you go to your next guy and you get him. And it was just the wildest thing. And it was such a gimmick, but you're just not used to that. And they had to run that. I mean, they had good guys, which is weird, but they didn't have enough of them. So you got to do something to separate. I can't remember that defensive coordinator's name.
Yeah.
But every year that we played them, it was like that's what we did against them. Was just they just walk around up there.
So New Mexico won't do it to that level, but they'll do it. And like Seth said, they have to do it.
Right.
But the difference now, that Southern Miss, like he just said, they had NFL dudes on that defense. Like they have real players there. That was kind of like Boise State before Boise State. They didn't ever get to that level,
right?
But because they were just defensive, I don't think they had it on offense. But their defensive players were freaking.
Yeah, they had some
real ones,
pretty decent players over there.
Torian York.
Yes, back to that. Like anytime you've got a young guy like that is able to step up, he's got to be there at some level of physicality. I mean, he's not going to be what he's going to be when he's a junior, right? But he's at a high level right now. But I think that anytime that you've got a guy like that, that he has to be smart. There's no way that you can put a guy at linebacker. DB, like you can get away with a lot of athleticism without knowing what you're doing as a freshman. Mm-hmm. But at linebacker, you got to know what you're doing. I mean, it's kind of like being like a center of the defense there. So you're making calls and you're having to recognize so much. So I think that speaks volumes for his mentality and understanding of the football game. And then back to Basantis, I mean, you don't want to see you ultimately you don't want to see it, but anytime that does happen, you can fall back on Noam, and this guy's got to be some kind of physical specimen. And tackle, you don't necessarily have to be super on top of your knowledge of the
harder.
game.
You think it's harder for a true freshman to start at guard than tackle?
Probably and definitely at center, but probably at guard. I think left tackle is like I would say would be ridiculous to start as a true freshman.
Just because of who
right tackle is a little bit easier. It's harder in pass protection, but it's also friendly in the sense that you should have people telling you what you're doing and things of that nature. But the tackle I'm not making light of the position. It's always tougher as a tackle, no matter which position, because you're going to be on an island more often than not on the pass protection. But in the running game, it should be good for them, whether they put in a tight end or somebody there to help them or whatever.
I know it's not ideal, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
But I'm not nervous about it because it's happened at high levels before in the past. I mean,
recent past.
Yeah.
Here and in the SEC.
Yeah.
It used to be completely out of the norm where you'd be like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
But nowadays I'm like, man, these kids are coming out of high school. Like, supposedly Basantis is the strongest guy on the team, something like that.
That's what they're saying.
So, I mean, he's got the ability to go out there and do it. Now he's just got to have the mental awareness and, tenacity to stay after whatever it is that he's doing and not get too down or not get freaked out and anxious out there.
That would be the only thing you'd worry about. And I don't know his mentality. I've sat down with him here once or twice, and I've heard great things, but you don't know until you're out there, on game day, whether it's New Mexico or Alabama they're starting with. It's a mental.
But he may be one of those guys, and I'm not going to try to say he's going to be a Luke Jokel, but I can remember – like I sat in, it was that year that Dan sat in with Sherman and stuck with it, and I went in rehabbing, trying to continue to play.
We had a nice night. Me, Seth, Dan, and Marco Rivera, the old Cowboy. They were both trying to decide if they were going to go into coaching. This was only 10 years ago. It's wild or 11 years ago or so.
2010,
it's wild.
13, I guess.
Shoot, but it's wild that Dan, where he's at now.
I know, right?
But we sat in. Dan was living in his trailer for the whole spring with Marco. These two guys, Marco Rivera was like a multi-year Pro Bowler a long time, and I think he was Cuban. He's Mexican. No. I think he was Mexican, like from Mexico. But living in that trailer, the two of them for like several weeks while they were kind of apprenticing here, and Jokel was a
true freshman,
spring enrollee.
Yes, not only a true freshman, but a spring enrollee. And you see him come in day one to that team, and you're like, man, this kid is super impressive. Like with his ability, but fast forward that, like ability is one thing. He had the knowledge of the game. Like it was so impressive to watch Jokel go out and do the things that he did. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what Basantis is getting done out there.
I don't think Basantis is as athletically gifted, like in terms. Jokel was, he's the number 2 pick in the draft after 3. It was incredible. But if you just look around the SEC, and by the way, this could be where Ruben Fothery's starting next week and for the rest of the season. And it's a great experience for Basantis early in the year to get a full game in case he has to finish one or in case he has to come in and start for a couple weeks mid-season in the SEC. You're going to be happy that he did this. Or it's college football. You never know when a guy just seizes something and doesn't let it go. I expect we see Fothery back in there. But Deuce started as a true freshman and performed pretty damn well. You look in the SEC last year, Will Campbell at LSU was a great offensive lineman as a true freshman. You mentioned Jokel. Alabama's done it more than once. One time with a guy that A&M wanted that the Aggie fans didn't even want. He was a tackle from out in California. I forget his name. It's skipping my mind here, but he started. He's still starting. Jonah Williams or Jonah something. But
Hill.
Yes, Jonah Hill. And what's the other guy's name? His little sidekick?
Seth.
No, the other guy, the little guy.
Little
skinny guy.
What do they call him?
Never mind. Anyway, but there's been a lot of them. You think of Greg Little from Allen who went to Ole Miss. You think of Laramie Tunsil. There's been a ton of them in recent years. You think of Kelvin Banks at Texas, and I know he was playing in the Big 12, but you don't think that guy could have started for A&M or really anybody in the SEC as a true freshman last year?
Deal.
So my point is it's not the end of the world, especially if a guy's an early enrollee. I'm not worried about it. I'm actually excited because Fothery's there too. I'm excited that they finally have depth at tackle. Fothery started 2 years. Zune has started a season now. You've got Crownover, who probably is the most improved guy on your roster from last season to this season, and Basantis, who they're beyond fired up about. And by the way, Aggie can play guard or tackle, and he's probably the fifth guy. Last year, Aggie had to come in and start against Alabama.
Michael Cera,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Did you guys like Young Guns 1 or 2 better?
1.
I'm playing the Bon Jovi song right now. I liked 1 too, but I liked 2. 2 was good.
I mean, they're all mixed up in my head, but I
never
feel
really
like I
liked
like
Young
1.
Guns.
I
was not a fan.
Great.
You know who?
Lou Diamond Phillips,
Not
awesome.
a fan.
La Bamba. Come
Come
on.
on. Richie Valens?
Hated him.
Oh,
I didn't like the
goodness.
shape of his head.
You know what?
First
This is
of all.
like what was the guy that just won Best Actor that we all hated? Brendan
Fraser, yeah.
That's warranted.
I liked Lou Diamond Phillips.
Hating Lou Diamond Phillips is not warranted.
I like Lou Diamond Phillips in La Bamba and A Few Good Men. That was about it.
What's that movie?
The Young Guns. I'll tell you who I've never liked on any level.
Emilio Estevez.
Yep.
I knew. I could tell.
Emilio.
And I call him Emilio Estevez,
No?
not Estevez.
How about Emilio
Estevez.
Sheen? Let's call him Sheen.
Ooh.
He was not Emilio Sheen. It was Charlie Estevez.
Oh.
And then he changed his name for. I saw something on one of these reels. I may have sent it to you. I sent Seth.
Oh, don't. He uses me as an Instagram bookmark. You don't send me anything.
I do. A lot of them are like music, but when I start sending him workouts and recipes, and then I'm using them as a bookmark, like bear fights or moose attacks, anything. But I send you a lot of music, and that is intended for you.
Oh,
but I
okay,
really
awesome.
send it to him so I could go back.
And-
And if I'm like, hey, David, did you see that video about
Right.
Charlie Sheen? And I'll go click it. But I send it to Seth because I'm like, look, Seth's on Instagram. He's family guy, married, like no one's sliding into the DM. So I know I'm
He'll
the
see
only,
it.
So yeah, and I'm sending him like he doesn't care. And
I just send memes.
I picture him just laughing when he wakes up and sees like 12 DMs from me, and he
Right.
knows what they're gonna be. And I also get a kick out of just picturing him laughing when he opens them up because he genuinely thinks that stuff's funny. But one of them was Estevez. Somebody went, what's the guy from Parks and Rec? Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe's talking. Look it up if you have any interest in this. But he's talking about these guys that went to high school together, at the same high school in L.A. It was Rob Lowe, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez.
They all went to high school together?
Somebody else, like it might have been Johnny Depp at the same time. Like a couple of them would be on like the same baseball team together, and they were all in like theater. I guess it was a theater arts
was it,
high
What
school.
a weird group, though.
Beverly Hills High? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, it was L.A., and they were all there. You know, I'm sure it was a magnet school for acting, or maybe. I'll look it up have someone.
Eric Stoltz and all those guys.
Can we look that up? Give us the names as soon as
The
you
audience
find
is
them.
like, get off this. Get back to football.
Well,
It's New Mexico.
by the way,
That's what just took 60 seconds.
have you seen the documentary Johnny Depp and
No, Amber Heard, no.
What? They're both a bunch of. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Speaking of Johnny Depp, I did get a call one day from Johnny, and he was like,
Man
it
sells.
was during
Yes.
speaking of documentaries, like during his whole run or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, I can believe what happened last night." I go, "What?" He goes, "Guess who I talked to for like hour and a half outside of this bar, wherever." Who? He was like, "Legend." I go, he's playing the guessing game. It was Johnny Depp.
And at that time, he was at the top of his.
Yeah, he just ended up having like this long form conversation with Johnny Depp somewhere. He doesn't like. There are certain ones that like he would get excited about and feel the need to call me and tell me about. Otherwise, it's just kind of casual. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Bieber was there or something, but it was that one that was it was big enough that he called. And you know why?
Why?
Seth will appreciate this. He was such a big fan of, forget all the movies that Johnny Depp, there was one that Johnny was obsessed with was Donnie Brasco. So that was
you were
why.
going to say Edward Scissorhands, but
I was just going to say, and we'll move on to football here. Johnny.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
I don't
Liucci,
give a damn.
I have your
Complain
answers.
all you want. I just wrote about a 5-hour freaking story about football. Go read it while we're talking about Johnny Depp for
21
2
Jump
minutes.
Street, Johnny Depp is better than Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
He was much cooler.
for sure.
Yeah.
He got weird.
Go ahead, Ann.
Rob Lowe actually didn't go to high school with Johnny Depp. It was Robert Downey Jr., but
Oh,
it was Santa Monica High School.
Okay.
Tony
So it was Estevez, Robert Downey
Santa
Jr.,
Monica
Rob
High,
Lowe,
full circle, where Sean was offensive coordinator when he was at.
No
in
way.
Yeah.
Seth's brother.
Oh, yeah?
He was OC at Santa Monica High.
Yeah.
That's
when he
pretty
was out
funny.
there in California.
And now Centerville.
All
That's
those
right.
guys had some issues in their career. All of them.
Yeah.
All right. Can I ask you,
It's about the same
ask
thing as
away.
I think of Santa Monica High and Nederland.
very similar, what do you have to see if there's a half to see this weekend? What is something like, I need to see this?
Yeah, I guess
ASAP.
Edward Scissorhands. You got to go back and watch
That's
it.
it's a great movie. No, man, what you want to see is the opposite of what happened last year. I'm not saying that we came out looking horrible last year, but it was not crisp. It was not clean. And you were just like, in your mind, you were saying to yourself, it's the first game, we'll get over it. But guess what? We didn't. So I want to see a crisp game. I want to see our offensive line. You don't have to be dominant, but don't make any stupid mistakes. Don't let guys slip through the cracks, not block, mental errors, that kind of stuff. Just play good football. Yeah, there's going to be mistakes. Yeah, there's going to be probably interception, something like that just happens. That's football when you're playing and trying to make plays. But you just want to see a crisp game. You want to see them walk out. And, I'd love to see the offense put up 50 points and win, 50-something to 7, something like that.
Yeah,
that would be what I want to see happen. And then you're like, okay, I feel good about where we stand in this kind of a game. You're not going to tell the rest of the season, but at least you can go, we have some talent. Now let's go play Miami and see what we've really got.
I just want to see, I want to see them start off hot.
Yeah.
And score a lot of points and do it early, because I think for this team to succeed this year, they need to score early and often. And set a tone, play from ahead every once in a while, which we haven't seen much of from him. What are the best 2 games for the Aggies in the last 2 years?
Bama LSU.
Without question, right?
Yeah.
And against 2 of probably the 3 best teams they've taken the field against in the last 2 years, and maybe the 2 best. What'd they do? They scored early. They scored often. I mean, they moved the ball on LSU from the start. I don't know if they went down and kicked a field goal. They moved the ball from LSU from the start. They did the same thing against Alabama. We don't see that enough, and I do think that's what I want to see this whole year. I know we're not going to get it every week, but I want that to be kind of a thing that this team does, is they hit the ground running offensively in football games. And like Seth said, if we see it Saturday, it doesn't mean you're going to see it all year. But it would I just want to walk out of Saturday feeling like, okay, that's still in play.
Yeah. But you didn't feel that way last year, and it led to what we got.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that always happens, but that was very telling of the rest of the year.
Well, that's what I keep trying to reiterate to.
Please do. Please come
I'm trying to think of a
reiterate.
name. The brothers, the brothers
What
Grimm.
do we say that's so
The
ridiculous?
the Bleak brothers. I try to. You guys go into the tank.
We say the same thing you say. We want to see 50.
We do too. But and we're going to be disappointed if we don't.
Yes.
But we also don't think it automatically means that they're not going to be a fast starter for the whole year.
No,
the
and
Bleak brothers do.
I think we've said that.
The Bleak brothers.
We've brought up on several
the
occasions.
Bleeker twins.
Vandy was not representative.
Well, aren't they the Muppets? Those
No, that's
or whatever.
Beaker. That's
Beaker.
Vandy was not representative of the team that they were in 2020. We've brought that up.
Bert and Ernie.
Unfortunately, Kent State and Sam Houston kind of did set a vibe.
Yeah, it is. And look, and Northwestern State, A&M went up and down the field on them, and Jay Sternberger caught a lot of passes. Travion ran wild, and that is kind of how the season went for that offense. Jace was a big-time player for it. Travion led the SEC in rushing. There are certainly things that happen in game 1 that will be for the whole year. But I'd also go back to 17-12 over Vandy, and then the next week, A&M 400-something yards at Alabama, and then a couple weeks later they light up Florida, beat them 41-38. It's hard to tell, but all we have to work with to form our opinion are what we see on Saturday night.
And I can't wait
until a very real test the week after.
I can't wait to just see this
I just want to
offense
see a
out
fast
there
starting
on display.
team. I want to see a team that comes out firing, and that's what I remember about the Petrino, Arkansas, Louisville teams. I watched them do that with Lamar to A&M. I watched them do that to Jimbo and Florida State a couple times at Louisville. I watched them do it to A&M, I think 2 of their 3 meetings against Bobby Petrino where they lit it up. And I want to see A&M do that. And here's what's interesting, Nuno. With Connor Wigman last year, I don't think it's a coincidence that was by far A&M's best and second best offensive showing of the 12-game season. Number 1 was LSU. Number 2 was Ole Miss. And what happened in both those games? They came out firing early. They had a little tempo to them. They were moving the ball. First downs on the opening drive, keep things going. Touchdown pass to Evan. I think they went 2 for 2 against Ole Miss on the first couple drives. They started, A-Chain was running from the start against LSU. I want to see that all year, and I think Connor is a type QB you can kind of get that rolling with.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gordon. That was an
I
aggressive
feel like
clap.
if I did that hard enough, that mic was going to hit you. Try
Is that what
it.
you're hoping for? Let's go. All right.
It's going to be bad radio. Y'all ready? Plug your ears.
Oh, see,
What up?
Bad acting.
What up? Hey, let's get the
like a pig six.
the
Freak of the week?
The opening intro music playing. Let's play that. I know y'all got it. Come on.
What?
Which
The intro music
for the final countdown?
No, for the kickoff at the stadium.
Oh,
I'm
that
kidding.
song.
Well, it is
Let's
actually.
let's save that for after the game reaction.
Yeah.
I've already said, Seth, here's my stance. I don't understand why Texas A&M has to be the one college football team out of the 130
doesn't
that
have
can't
a notable
just pick a
song.
song.
Oh, my, it's just mind-boggling.
But
It better be
I
good.
appreciate the effort of someone to try, and I think it's a professional and somebody that's successful professional, that's an Aggie. Like, I'm looking forward. I'm keeping an open mind to say, okay, why not? Why not? And I have talked to enough people that love the entirety of the whatever they're going to do in terms of the presentation and the style of the intro. I've heard no one I've talked to doesn't think it's going to be a big improvement. They all think it is going to be a nice improvement. So the thing that's going to get the most attention is going to be the song. And while I do sit here and go, I can go on Spotify, and if you gave me a day, I could give you 100 options that would be really acceptable.
But you never know what that artist might
and
come
we're
out
so
and
scared
say
of
on
that
Twitter,
bull,
Billy.
You know what? Around here, we're so scared of it. It makes me sick. But that doesn't mean that a new song that is created solely for the A&M team intro can't be good. And it doesn't mean that it can't be something that gets you into it and that gets the crowd into it. So I hope it hits.
I'll reserve
I'm
judgment.
rooting for it.
I'm
I'm reserving judgment. And to be honest, I'm
want
excited
it to be
hear
great.
it.
Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, so for the power thing, I didn't know what that was. I'm like, I assume it was a song, but it might as well not have been a song to me.
You'd never heard
I'd never heard
Yeah.
that intro until I heard it.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we all bought in and liked it. So maybe that's a similar deal. Maybe they turn our intro into a song. Congratulations,
But don't give me the
Surfaces.
thing that the song doesn't matter because it's only 20, 30 seconds of the intro.
It
I
does
don't buy
matter,
that.
man.
It's
Like,
a big
why,
freaking deal.
and if you're going to say that, why does music matter? Music
Yeah.
is emotional, man.
Yeah.
And it gets you in whatever mood you want to be in. And I think that,
Yeah.
I know it's deep conversation
No, you're
over
right.
here, but it's true, man. You
Like,
can
look.
get hyped up.
Look at
off of
Sandstorm.
music.
Look at Metallica,
Yeah.
Enter Sandman at Virginia Tech. Look at A&M when they had power.
Yeah.
These things, if they catch and if they hit,
And not
it
going to be
becomes
Lukenbach,
awesome.
I can tell you that much.
Oh, God.
I'm going to get back on that. I'm going to get back on that. Don't ever play that song ever again in Kyle Field. If it happens,
I'm not a fan of
like,
if you're going to play in Texas. I don't
I don't
hate
like it
that
either.
one. I don't hate
But-
that one.
but
though.
Lukenbach-
I don't hate that one.
Lukenbach, especially for the occasion that it was played last year, I was like, I want to kill somebody. I
Now,
want to slice
with that
throats.
said, I'm going to say this. I've been around the SEC. Tom Petty, I won't back down.
That's
incredible.
classic.
But
Yeah.
A&M, let's not forget, the war hymn is incredible.
It is.
yeah.
Like, yes.
People come
for
from
sure.
other teams. I remember when they played Miami last year.
Like, and they're
the
in
players,
awe.
after they lost the game, they were standing there and like, one of them grabs me and goes, "What's it?"
Dude,
What
I
are they
can
doing?"
remember playing, like, it might have been Notre Dame. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
remember exactly the team, but I remember on many occasions
Like in
playing.
the
and
huddle.
Then, like, you're in there, and then somehow the war hymn is started or ended
you're
at
walking.
that point in time. We're walking up to the line, and they're just, like, looking. And I guess maybe it was the
Oh,
start of
do
the
they
fourth
ask
quarter.
you like what? Or do
No,
they
you
ever-
could. They're all just like looking and pointing, but I mean, they see it too. I mean, it's an awesome
and you're like,
occasion.
and they're not ready. No, I like you go around the SEC and there's incredible atmospheres, and Kyle Field's one of them, and I think of certain iconic songs and stuff. In A&M, Alabama, what they do at Dixieland Delight, and even what they do with the Killers, Mr. Brightside.
Yeah, that's
They
awesome.
go crazy during that. Is it Michigan or Notre Dame that does Don't Stop Believing when you have the whole crowd doing it?
Is it Wisconsin?
Penn State?
I don't
No,
know.
that's Jump Around. Like, I wish A&M had something like that in game that, like, got the whole crowd engaged. We haven't been able to find that, but the War Hymn counts.
Sure
It's
does.
not gonna
It
be-
is. It's not like, let's not
Going
forget.
to play in Dixie.
they've got
Everybody
one of the
playing
best.
the fiddle in the
So-
stands.
Yeah,
Oh,
so-
man.
But I will say this. That in-game atmosphere over the last several years has
been
become so much better.
Agreed.
And the addition of the DJ,
Phenomenal. I love it.
my man Casca, I want to say Casca, he has done an incredible job there at Kyle Field. Whatever they're paying him, they need to pay him more. You think of that Alabama game, you think of that LSU game, the atmosphere in there is freaking awesome.
It's beautiful.
Wire to wire. I just wish we had one thing that the whole crowd kind of rallied around, maybe to start the third quarter or something.
We got some things to get into. By the way, somebody texted in the show. I should drop one of these. Ay, que rico, just for you, Billy. That was just for you. But we move on. They texted the show. Let's do the Sleeper of the Week presented by the Sleep Station. Go see Jared McLeod and the team over there and ask about a Tempur-Pedic mattress in the Specs parking lot at Texas and Harvey and in front of the Lowe's, William D. Fitch on Highway 6. Website, sleepstation.com. All right, let's go with you, Seth.
Yeah.
Who is the Sleeper of the Week this week?
Well, this is going to take a gigantic feather bed, but I'm going to put all the offensive linemen in there.
Yeah.
If we can wake them up, get them moving in the right direction, and hopefully, DeSantis as a true freshman comes out and plays the way that he needs to play, then we'll get off on the right track. But for sure, we need them. I mean, I think that,
David?
Of course, I'm biased in the sense that it begins up front, but that's on both sides of the line of scrimmage. But we need, especially our offensive line, to go out and step up and allow Connor to operate as efficiently as he can be. And it starts up front with our guys. So, yeah, they're my sleepers, and I think they're going to come out and do a good job.
Billy, who is your sleeper?
Well, first of all, Jared, I'm coming by. I'm buying a bed this week. at
Your
Sleep
back
Station.
aching up?
No, I need a new mattress. It's time.
How many years? What are you?
13 to 14.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy.
That's outrageous.
I
you got bed bugs. There's no doubt.
I don't have bed bugs. I get nervous about buying a bed because I don't know. It's like buying a car. Once you buy, it's worse because you're keeping it for 10 plus years, and they say, you can return it in 30 days. Whoever returns a mattress, once you buy it, you're stuck with it. So Sleep Station, I'm coming for you. I get nervous about these picks. And this week's pick for my Sleeper of the Week, because I want to be right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, and this is an interesting one because I think probably on the first play of the game he'll be out there, but I'm going to go with Amari Daniels because so much focus. I've been talking up Le'Veon Moss since he got here, and I think he has a chance to be an exceptional back at A&M. We know all the excitement surrounding Reuben Owens, and it's definitely warranted. But I'm going to go with Amari Daniels to pop a couple big runs in this one and have a nice game to open the season. This is a guy that's probably got his eyes very squarely set on next week and getting his crack at his hometown Miami Hurricanes. So he's probably pretty dialed in right now. I'm going with Amari Daniels on offense, and then defensively, I'm going to say I think defensively, I'm going to really throw a sleeper at you. Not really a sleeper. I'm going to go with Malik Silla
I was
as
just talking
not
to
starting,
Steve
but a
about
pass
them.
rusher that comes into this game and collects a couple of sacks.
That'd be nice.
I think that he started to make a move in the second half of fall camp, where I think people are starting to get excited about him as a pass rusher.
Can we do a quick Freak of the Week before we hit this break?
Yeah, I'm going
Wait,
to – I don't know anything about – what? Oh, me?
Yeah,
By myself?
That's the
Two,
same.
3, 2,
It's
1.
the
It's
Freak of the
Week. Somebody had to do it.
You helped. That was
Okay.
great.
Very good. No, I don't know anything about New Mexico State's offense, pardon me, but I'm going to go with McKinley, and I think that he's going to be
It's
out
not
there.
New Mexico State, so even if you did know a lot about
Well,
the
We got a
whatever,
graphic.
dude. You know what I'm talking about. See, it doesn't matter. I don't care who – if it starts with New Mexico, I don't care.
Okay.
So anyways, McKinley, I think that he's going to go out there and dominate this offensive line, and it's going to be something to see. So I'm excited to watch him play.
Okay.
Defensively, freak of the week, I'm going to go with you went with McKinley. I'm going to go with Edger and Cooper. I want to see 45 flying around and making plays.
Nice.
He's been a good, solid player for A&M the last couple of years. I want to see him ascend and make that next step. And I want to see Edger and Cooper get out there because of guys like McKinley Jackson up front and fly around and really and not just make tackles, but I want to see him make a couple of pretty impactful plays there.
All right, let's hit a break.
Like he did against LSU when he forced that fumble by Jaden Daniels.
When we come back, pick 6 time.
And the freak of the week on offense.
Oh, you want to do that then?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Might as well.
TexAgs Radio. As you know, sometimes this segment goes a little bit long, so keep it with TexAgs.com if it goes past the radio time, and keep it with our YouTube page. We'll try to keep that going. All right, let's get into, you wanted to tell us your offensive freak of the week. He's not listening.
I'll go. I'm going to go.
Go.
I guess according to TexAgs, he's going to win the Heisman, but I'm gonna go with Connor Weigman. I can't wait to watch him play. I'm excited. Whatever. I mean,
I don't want you to be like
Weigman,
Hunter
my bad.
and start
Weigman.
the next multiple years.
Who is it? Who is it?
My favorite thing, and Connor's going to have to
Adagio.
top it. Adagio. Yeah, you call him Adagio. Right now, Connor has done 2 things that have really, made me just really happy as a football fan. And one of them was beating LSU at Kyle Field last year.
Sure.
The other one was, committing to and picking A&M, signing with A&M. The third one so far is running roughshod over Lonnie in College Park and eliminating them from the playoffs and sending Lord Negative home. Now Lord Negative is at Connors High School.
I know, at Bridgeland. They had a big first week.
Yeah,
man.
they did. Lonnie's a great coach. One of the better. I think he's one of the most under
took it to Cy. Well, not
appreciated.
Took it, they beat Cy Fair. That was a
head
big
coaches
win.
in the Houston area. Lonnie's doing a great job. But Wiggy ended his season. Now Lonnie's at Bridgeland.
Can't beat him, join him.
Exactly. So I'm going to go freak of the week since you picked Connor. Offensively, I'm going to go Evan Stewart. I think this is going to be a big game for number 1. I think he's going to go out there and
180 yards.
Well, look, last year,
I'll take it.
Let's
get 2 Heisman candidates.
Last year when he really hadn't done anything yet, it was nothing. It was his first college game. He was open deep a lot. And Haynes King, that was a struggle that day. He was underthrowing, he was overthrowing, and I think Evan, I don't know if he had 80 yards, 70 yards, whatever it was, but it could have been about 200.
Right.
And I'd like to see him get behind this New Mexico defense. I'd like to see him catch a short pass on the run, take it across the field, turn it up, and house it. I think we can see a big game from Evan.
All right, let's get into our pick 6. We're definitely not going to be able to
We're
finish
gonna
that
go
on
over
radio.
a little bit, David.
That's all right. They paid me double time now. Let's get into it. Our pick 6 now here on TexAgs Radio.
Utah over Florida.
Well, yes, that was pretty.
Who didn't see that coming?
Oh my goodness.
Did you pick Florida?
No, I didn't pick Florida. Did you?
No.
Colorado from the Pac-12.
I don't think so. You could probably pull tape at me, but I'm pretty sure I've got way too much faith in Kyle Whittingham that I didn't care. I didn't care if Rising was playing or not. If they had to win that game 10-7, they would have won it 10-7.
Is this Colorado game at TCU?
It is at TCU, 20
Are
and
we
a half.
do-
Big
What
number.
do I look like? Did I know where the games are played?
No, I forgot we do the line, so I'm like, what does it matter?
Oh, okay.
And then I see that 20 and a half.
20 and a half.
Yeah, I'll go with. I hate TCU, but I'm gonna go with them. Who was I watching or listening to that Colorado could just be awful? Like they have so little talent besides a few players. Anyways,
I'm going with Colorado. Colorado. I'm going with TCU, and I hope TCU beats them so bad.
yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
like the way Dion has acted. I don't like
anything about it.
I don't like what they've done with that team. I don't like his son just going in there and being the starter from day one. I don't like the Barstool hype of it all. I don't like Shedeur Sanders getting Heisman mention. I mean, I don't have a problem with it if he goes and beats TCU and goes for 400 yards, put him on the list. But right now, the fact he's mentioned, it's just all because of the hype and the name. And we'll see. I think it's P.T. Barnum-esque right now.
Oh, very.
By the way, I was told to inform you guys the bottom team is the home team.
Okay.
I figured it out when
Thanks.
I saw Texas A&M at the
Don't
bottom.
put me in with him with this one, okay?
Oh, whatever, aloe.
All right, let's go now to Virginia ACC
Hello.
at number 12, Tennessee SEC Network, 11 a.m. Nissan Stadium, Saturday, ABC. Tennessee favored by 28.5.
They really put in a lot of work picking the good games this week, didn't
I don't even.
There weren't any good games.
I have no
There
idea.
had to be a spread less than 28.5.
We always pick a couple SEC games. Pardon. Sorry.
That's fine.
Jiminy
Whatever.
Christmas.
I don't even know anything about
Can we
Virginia.
complain about more things on this show? Go ahead.
I'm gonna.
God.
I don't know. I'm gonna.
I just want people to
That's
be
that's
good
a
at what they
huge
do.
margin of victory between a decent team. I think I'm gonna go with Virginia to cover that.
All right, Billy.
4 touchdowns, 52 to.
That would mean Virginia is
17.
awful, and Virginia just can't be that.
They're
bad.
pretty
I
bad.
think
I
they
have
won
no idea.
3 games last year.
I'm actually
did
going to
they?
go with Tennessee to cover
I
at
am too.
home.
Fine.
I
didn't realize they were that bad.
Zip.
I think Tennessee wins that one like 52
All right,
to.
I'll stick with it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say
52
they're
to
covered.
21.
They're covered.
All right. Is this game good enough for you? Number 3, number 21, North Carolina, ACC versus the SEC, South Carolina, 6:30, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, ABC broadcast. North Carolina favored by 2.5. Seth, go first.
I think North Carolina's gonna cover that.
I agree. Billy,
I'm actually picking South Carolina in that one.
to win?
Yeah. Oh, there. I see the camera's there. I can't see the spreads. South Carolina's favored by 2.5. Yeah, I think Carolina wins and covers.
North Carolina is favored by 2.5.
Okay, then I really think I'm picking South Carolina. I'm picking South Carolina to win, and cover, obviously.
It's a big week already.
South Carolina 31. South Carolina 34. North Carolina 31. Shootout.
Okay. Then we've got number
You guys
5,
are getting a little too far with this North Carolina quarterback. You're loving
Drake
him.
May.
You're loving
I'm
him.
just not big on South Carolina.
I'm not either, but I'm also not big on North Carolina. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think Rattler and May are going to throw for a lot of yards in that one.
Number 5, LSU versus number 8, Florida State, 6:30, Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Sunday. LSU's favored by 2.5.
That's a hard one.
That is a tough one. That is a
Can we
tough
do
one.
Clemson Duke first?
All right, we'll go fine.
Yeah, and then fine. I'm gonna go with Clemson to cover that. There's no way on earth. If they can't cover that, then we've got problems.
Not showing a lot of respect for Mike Elko, are we?
Well, I'm sorry.
13.5. Hey, Clemson has not been an offensive juggernaut these
Garrett
last
Riley,
couple of
buddy.
years since Trevor Lawrence left. They have not been an offensive juggernaut. But Garrett Riley, Cade Klubnik, I'm with you. I'm going to pick Clemson in a slight cover. I think Duke, we're not giving them enough credit, but I'm going to go Clemson.
I mean,
in a slight
have they
cover.
earned that credit? No.
I think they've earned the credit last year. I think they earned the credit because it's a Mike Elko defense. But I just don't think they have the horses, and I think the Riley Klubnik era gets started in style, just like I think the Petrino Wigman era gets kicked off in style.
Me too.
Do we jump to A&M or go back to
Sure.
LSU? All right. New Mexico at number 23, Texas A&M, 6 o'clock, Caulfield, ESPN broadcast. A&M favored by 37.5.
I think A&M wins this deal 50+ to 7, and they'll cover that. I want to see A&M look very smooth and crisp, get out of there with no injuries, and move on to Miami.
I'm right on the cut line of like 48-10, 48-13, and I'm going to go cover barely.
Barely cover, that's what I
Something
have.
like that. That might be, if I'm picking a score, I might go 49-10.
So the LSU game I'm struggling with because it's all about that LSU secondary. If they play well, I think they win and they cover. But they take on a Florida State team.
Florida State's got a 6'7" receiver that can ball. They've got Keon Coleman, the transfer from Michigan State, who is a certified badass in the Big Ten last year, but he's still good when you see it. Keon Coleman's that. Those guys against that LSU secondary, without Mason Smith, LSU better get a pass rush because Hunter can sling it all over the field, and he's a playmaker. He was a playmaker last year. That's a good freaking game.
I know it is.
Season.
That's going to be a really good game. I'm going to say I'll go with Florida State to cover that,
Billy?
which means they
They would.
win.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna take Florida State and those points. I picked LSU to win earlier in the week on the show with Caroline, and maybe she convinced me because she's LSU, purple and gold to the core. So maybe I felt like I just didn't want to do it. But without the threat of Caroline sitting here, I'm gonna go Florida State because I think that game is a coin flip, and if you're going to give me 2.5 points and they're playing in Florida and not in Death Valley, I know it's not a home game, but it's not in Death Valley. It's not in New Orleans. I'm going to go with Florida State and take my chances.
Can I get a ruling? Are you allowed to have 2 different picks on 2 different bits of content? He went with LSU with Caroline. He's going with Florida State with us.
Did you really?
Yeah, I picked LSU.
Is that allowed?
Stick to your guns.
I picked LSU like 31.
He must not care about that other one as much as he cares about this.
I picked LSU 31-27, but the more I think about the question marks in LSU's secondary, look, if there's a chance, we haven't talked about this, there's a chance for the SEC to have a
bad start. I was just
weekend.
looking at this. I was like, man, I don't like
and listen,
that.
South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Utah, LSU, Florida State, and then next week A&M gets thrown in the middle of that. A&M's at Miami, and Alabama with a lot of question marks got the 4-time upcoming defending 4 in a row national champion Texas Longhorns going in there. So,
which by the way, 2 of those teams are going to be possibly 3 part of my future SEC picks. I want to get Clemson and UNC in there. Oh, yeah. Of course, Florida State, but that's another
after
story.
This news today with them taking SMU and Stanford and Cal,
Yeah.
this is going to really make teams like Florida State and Clemson go,
like,
we want to get that.
Yeah, what are we doing? That's a disaster.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question. It's just a matter of where and when. Do they go SEC? Does the Big Ten? I mean, it sucks.
Clemson UNC doesn't make anybody mad, so let's get them.
To me, college football just sucks now.
It does.
Like,
it's
it doesn't
stupid.
suck, but this thing sucks.
Hey, I'm all on board on the 64 teams, like 1 or 2 relegated teams a year. Boom. Let's go.
I thought it was just fine the way it was.
I mean, I did too, but you know what?
Fine the way
hey,
it was. Maybe
this
there
is
were
a disaster.
Too many bowl games.
This is a disaster, so let's just make it what it is going to ultimately be. Just make it 64 at-large teams and have the bottom people, I don't know how many there are, 4, 2, 1, I don't know, fight, and then you get out, and then maybe Central Florida comes up or somebody like that. I don't know. So I'm not trying to.
I just don't think there's going to be enough teams to come up because I think so many football teams and athletic departments are going to be so devastated by that, and they're going to decide like it's not worth it. We're going to play. None of this
makes sense, Billy. Like think of Stanford track going all the way to.
It's so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And you have honestly just are we all fair?
No,
I'll tell you what's good. The SEC is the only legitimate
making these decisions.
The only legitimate conference is the SEC. Like I could make an argument that all of us makes sense.
TV matters more
Everything
than all
else
of it.
that they do
money
is
matters
ridiculous.
More than all of it, and you've got people that are wanting to make the most money they can, and it's greed driving this, and greed drives most things in this country.
But can there be intelligent greed where we like do something that's smart and make money?
Apparently not, because there's too many entities and factions, and I just think, look, NIL, the portal, tampering, the NCAA.
There's so many issues. You're right.
Realignment. This is
a
crappy time.
You have way too many issues to fix. For real. Like there are real issues that have to be fixed, and they're not getting addressed. So it is just a mess.
We're looking up, and Stanford and Cal are about to be in the Atlantic Coast Conference. USC and UCLA,
Big Ten,
and now Oregon as well, and Washington are in the Big Ten. The only one that did it right, but look, the SEC has a big role in causing and creating all this, and so do the Texas Longhorns. Texas, you got to go back and say they play, and I know people in Austin will say, well, Arkansas and South Carolina left years ago. What we're seeing happen right now, a lot of that had to do with Texas running off Nebraska Colorado, then A&M and Missouri. And a lot of that had to do with the unequal revenue share in the Big 12, Texas trying to push all their stuff on Nebraska. No Prop 48. We want to do this. We want to do that. And Nebraska said, we're out, when they were still a very prominent program.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Longhorn Network came along. And then that made everyone in the Big 12 go, what? And then A&M left. But right before that, Texas tried to put together the Pac-16 and leave a bunch of teams behind because A&M didn't go, Texas had to blow that up. They wanted to go there instead of somewhere else so they could keep their network. They were keeping their network in the Pac-12. A&M said no. Then they stayed. Then A&M left. And Texas was stuck with a bunch of teams that they tried to leave in the middle of the night. They tried to ditch the Kansas, the Texas Tech, the Baylors, the K-State, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. I think not Oklahoma State. They tried to ditch those schools, and then they were stuck with them. So where was that culture? Where was that, cohesion within the league? They were not pulling together. And Texas and OU realized they needed to get out. They get out. Now we see this. This is bad for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
College football, when we watch the games, will still be fun. But this is the worst time in the history of college athletics.
I would agree, man.
In terms of a lack of leadership, a lack of structure, and danger on the horizon for this game. But
no end in sight.
But
there is none.
We're all going to go out and watch, and we're all going to watch LSU and Florida State, and we're all going to watch North Carolina and South Carolina, and we all watched Utah and Florida last night, and we're all going to get out to Kyle Field tomorrow. So
yeah,
it's
so
fine for
but
now.
In the future, you're going to watch Stanford, North Carolina State, and you're going to be like, that's a conference game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I think we'll all adjust, but the powers that be have to fix a lot, because it's not only the conferences playing elsewhere in these matchups that you're not used to and really don't care about. It's also the players. We're talking about Keon Coleman. Who's he? Well, he's at Michigan State. Guys, people in the Big Ten know about him. Well, nobody in the SEC and that footprint or Florida know about him. But now he's there. You watch college football with all these transfers at quarterback and every other position. It's too hard to keep up with. The brand loyalty. How are you loyal to?
But is there
your
a person
program
that
when
we
the
can
players
just
aren't?
blame? Is there like one person that we can blame that just blew it? Because
Dan
somebody
Beebe.
blew it.
Dan Beebe.
Well, Dan
Not
Beebe
Dan
blew it.
Beebe. What's his Dan Beebe? I played.
Yeah, that's the Big 12 guy.
What's it? Emmert.
Mark
Nancy,
Emmert.
he's a big one in my opinion.
Somebody blew it, and they have created just
I think
a trickle
LeBron
that
James,
turned
you
into
can point a finger in
waterfall.
that direction with him and that governor or the senator out of California that started this whole, that went out of their way, and where California approved that NIL law early on because LeBron and Mav Carter were wanting to represent athletes, and they were wanting to represent them as early as they could. And LeBron said, "Oh, I didn't get a chance. You were never going to go play college. You went and got paid, and you should have, right out of high school." There are a lot of dominoes, but I go back to the Ed O'Bannon case where the NCAA, when he was suing way back in the day. I mean, Ed O'Bannon played in 95, and then years later decided to go after. You had that much time to say, man, this isn't going to end here. Anybody with common sense to see this and go, this isn't going to end
But
here.
even today.
And they didn't do anything.
But today, like alignment, stupid. NIL is what it is. But the transfer portal, that can literally be fixed just by signing some document, dude. I mean, that's the easiest thing on earth, and they're not doing anything to address it.
You know
and
what
it's
people say
destroying
when I
athletics.
ask that? You know what people say? They go, they'll never be able to walk that back. It's out of the bag.
Tra-
And my
that's a
question
lie.
is why?
That's not true.
It's the
NIL
easy-
is that way.
It's the easy answer.
Yes, it is, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, man. Sorry. Anyways.
No, I mean, the easy answer to anything is to say, yeah, it's too late now.
Oh, yeah.
Can't change it.
That
Oh,
one
yeah,
you
you
can't
can
change.
always change it.
NIL you can't. That's law. That's been proven. Supreme Court, all that junk. That is what it is. But the transfer portal, that starts at the top, man. Somebody can make that decision, and yes, somebody can do a
Who
weird
makes it, though,
lawsuit.
now?
I don't.
If the NCAA and people don't want to abide
Right.
by that, is it this new mega conference you're talking about? Well, it's not there yet.
Well, no
Is it
conference is going to do it because that would make them weak.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to say is the NCAA can do it.
They can try.
I don't know how. Yeah, they could try,
How
but they're not
motivated
even
are they?
trying. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yep.
All right, guys. Good times?
David, where are you heading?
Nowhere. I got to record some spots for Louie. We can do another whole show.
Get to work.
I got lunch at noon, so we got some time here, man. We got 45 minutes to just sit and talk.
All right, let's talk.
All right, let me ask you this.
Let's see where we go.
I'm going to ask Seth a question here.
Okay, Seth, I'll let you answer.
Who is your – I want you to pick a player on defense and on offense that you're most excited about entering this season that is not a preseason all-SEC candidate. In other words, not one of the – let's say just not one of the are currently established star players, let's say.
Yeah, I mean –
and that includes QB1. That includes Wigman.
We talked about him to begin the show, but York on defense that's an exciting thing to think about because you always want to have a new guy, I mean, especially at linebacker where we needed help. And if he steps up and he's the guy that maybe we think he can be by earning a starting position as a true freshman, that would be exciting to see him fly around. I think Edgerrin Cooper is a great player. Yeah. And so I thought that from day one with his ability to be able to fly around like that. But maybe, York comes in and he's even better than what Cooper was when he started out.
I want to play a game with Seth, David, and you were around during this time, so you can help. For the people that are still listening, we've talked a lot about New Mexico, enough about New Mexico. We've talked a lot about this team and Saturday, and we're going to have a ton to talk about afterwards. Let's talk about true freshmen in recent A&M history, going back to like the mid-'90s. When I got here, early 90s, you got here mid to late, and so did you. True freshmen, we're going to pick one impact at each position and see if we can do this. Okay? We'll go faster than you think, but this will be fun because the fans can interact, and we're doing it on the fly just like you guys are. So we start at QB. Go. Last 30 years.
True freshman? Reggie McNeil.
Yeah, Connor, Reggie.
Yeah, Connor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll go Reggie. Beat number one. I'll go Reggie there. You got others. You had Kellen Mond. You had Stephen McGee late in the year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, what Connor did, knocking off number 5. Offensive line.
Luke Jokel.
Yeah.
Jake Matthews.
Yeah.
Those would be the two. Those by
Cam?
far.
Oh, not Cam, excuse me.
Cam Dewberry last year. Foster, Fothery.
I was thinking Kenyon.
Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
I would go my 3 would be
Eric McCoy started? Did Eric McCoy start?
No, I think he redshirted. I'll go Jokel and Matthews, stand alone, 1, 2, and Kenyon probably number 3 there.
That's accurate.
Okay. Running back.
Devon.
What he did.
Yeah, he was an Orange Bowl MVP by the end of it, but there's been a bunch. I think
I was about to say there's probably
I
that
think
position.
Christian Michael.
Yeah.
I think
Travion Williams.
Williams, I think, was 1,000-yard back as a freshman, or maybe I think he went 1,000, then went back. Well, here's one for you.
Greg Hill. Rodney Thomas.
I think Greg Hill redshirted because you had Darren Lewis. Rodney played as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Maybe Greg didn't. Leland, I think, redshirted.
By the way, was Bucky a
Mike
freshman?
Goodson.
Oh. Yeah, that's right.
Had a big freshman year impact.
Was Bucky
Jamar
a freshman?
Toombs, Seth.
That's right.
Helped y'all win a Big 12 title.
That's right. Absolutely.
Bucky, I think, redshirted.
Yeah, Bucky did. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, he had a weird. No, he came in and then didn't Kevin Murray get injured, come back, and then Bucky redshirted that year, and then Bucky came back.
There was something weird.
Weird
like
something
that
weird.
Happened. You're right. People right now are correcting us crazy, but we're doing this on the fly here. Wide receiver. Terrence Murphy.
I feel like Terrence did great. I thought Evan did a fine job last year.
Evan will be way up there on that list. Mike Evans redshirted.
Yeah, he did.
I think Swope played as a true freshman. I have to check that. Oh, I'll tell you one.
That's a tough one.
Well, Jeff Fuller and Easy
Yes,
Wachaku.
yeah.
Easy had a
Wachaku.
breakout. Easy his freshman year, like I think there was a game where he had like 4 touchdowns. Yeah, that's a. Anybody else? I know we're forgetting some.
No, I'm sure we are.
Oh, probably the best true freshman year, Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk playing against his hometown team, punt return for a touchdown and a catch and run to ice the game score against Arizona State. First game his true freshman year. So Christian.
Did Bethel do anything?
Yeah, he was good his freshman year. Bethel though might have redshirted.
No, I think he didn't. I don't think he did.
That's a good question. I feel like maybe he set a year, but maybe not. You might be right.
I know. Well, we'll get there.
Let's see. And again, this isn't live radio. We're just having fun, so we can have these little
I
pauses.
got
and
5
stuff.
minutes.
Okay, let's go tight end. Martellus Bennett,
Yeah, that was
Jalen Weidemeyer,
Donovan Green last year.
Donovan Green last year. You're right. Those are ones that stand out. I think Spiller and
yeah, I was about
Campbell
to say
might have both
Derek
redshirted.
Spiller.
Maybe Spiller. Dan redshirted. Okay. D-line. Ty Warren, Sam Adams.
You stole my Sam
as a
Adams.
freshman was just dominant.
Well, come on.
All the guys.
Myles Garrett.
Miles might have had. Miles and Sam probably had the best true freshman years. I guarantee you there's some sleepers we haven't talked about. DeMarvin Leal.
I mean, like my year,
Leal.
my class had 3 true freshmen.
But they didn't start.
I know, but they contributed.
Rocky, Ron, and
quite a bit.
and Flemings, yeah.
Ron, Rocky.
But it was that second year where they really started.
Right.
This is funny.
Yeah.
People are texting the line, and Louis' show's going on. He's so confused. What are you talking about? Bucky. It's funny. Sorry.
I love it. Okay. We're forgetting some D linemen, but that's
I'm
okay.
sure we are. Ty? No?
I said Ty.
Oh,
Ty
you
was
did,
one of the
yeah.
early ones. Okay. Corner, Sammy Davis,
good
number
grief,
1.
Just steal my.
Who else at corner?
Oh man, I don't know.
They haven't. A&M just hasn't been great at corner. Tyreek
Chappelle started in the Arkansas
I'll tell you
game?
somebody that was pretty good as a true freshman for A&M. Devontae Harris.
Okay.
He actually ended up having a good true freshman year. And then at safety,
Bryce.
Terrence Kill.
yeah, Terrence Kill. Bryce flashed it, but I think you got guys that would have had a bigger, Damani Richardson.
Yeah.
don't know if
Armani.
Terrence-
I'll tell you one. Armani Watts.
Armani Welsh.
Armani Watts, absolutely. I'll tell you another. I don't think he redshirted, but he might have. Donovan Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just recent SEC.
I know.
We should have kept it to SEC and Big 12. Jackson Appel, perhaps, might have. And then at linebacker, because Torian York will end
Edric
there.
Cooper did well, I thought.
Von Miller. I think Von played standing up
him
as
as
a true
a
freshman.
outside
But I mean, I'm talking about like a big time year. Did Dotson crack in there as a true freshman, or was it his second year? Tyrell Dodson might have been a guy.
Well, we said it
Sean
weeks
Poor.
ago, but obviously this starts with Dat. That's where the
Well, he was a
comparisons begin.
Red shirt.
He was a red
Obviously,
shirt?
Dad.
obviously
but I mean,
not.
Obviously not. Yeah.
he would
He
have
was
been
a
right.
red
He would
shirt?
have rolled right off the tongue. It would have
I
been.
just watched the documentary too.
I don't think they've had a lot of true freshmen. I'll tell you one, but I think it was in a 3-4. Justin Warren, he was a Fran guy. Justin was a guy. He was a 5-star type recruit. Maybe Warwick redshirted too. I'm trying to think of true freshman linebackers that have come in since the mid '90s and had a significant
At
impact.
punter, I was
Not
thinking
significant
Shane
impact,
redshirted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tough one at linebacker. Maybe Torian York.
It's the guy.
You got to start going. Could he be the top, true freshman linebacker? Since in the Big 12 SEC era, we're probably forgetting somebody. I know, but we're again
On
has
the
a chance.
fly.
Oh, that gum looks good. All right, let's
Might
go,
be
Seth.
yours.
We got lunch to go. Why would
All
it be
right.
mine? Oh, I probably left it here one day.
Good
That's right,
session.
give that back. All right.
Take it back.